Workspace Provision Co., your spot to create, connect, and grow. Flexible offices and event spaces made for entrepreneurs and dreamers. Come see what's possible. To learn more, visit workspaceprovision.com.
A business hub where you can go. It's Workspace Provision Co. A business hub where you can go. It's Workspace Provision Co.
We are here with Kellie Syfan, the founder of Clove Hitch Behavior. My name is Grant Paxton, and this is the Workspace Podcast recorded at Workspace Provision Co., 14101 Capitol Boulevard. We are in the Bonsai Room. I'll probably say Workspace several times, but we're here in Youngsville. Kellie's office is here at Workspace Provision, and you work with individuals, couples, families. You help people navigate challenges, build healthier habits, and move toward a life that folks want. Am I hitting the mark a little bit about you, Kellie? So take 30, 60 seconds to brag about yourself.
Sure. So I'm happy to have an office here at Wake Forest, or Workspace rather, Provision Co. I am upstairs. I work, as you said, with kids, teens, and adults. A lot of the work I do is focused on behavior change, specifically making sure that the behaviors you're engaging in are aligning with your values and getting you closer to your goals. I also have a farm location in Franklinton for folks that want to be seen in an outdoor setting. I like to say it's 30 acres of awesome. We've got about 100 head of animals out there, just a wonderful place to ground and work on different skills moving forward.
So you meet with clients here at Workspace Provision, but your farm setting. Tell me about farm setting meets behavioral health.
Sure.
Yeah.
So when I only see kids and teens on the farm, I also live there. So I choose just to see the younger ones. But what we're looking at often is kids or teens that are saying, I don't want to go to therapy, or I don't want to be in an office because I've had traumatic experiences around the medical field, or I am running around like mad. Try to put me on a couch, see what happens. There's all sorts of different reasons that somebody might be better served in an outdoor setting. Now, I want to be very clear that this is not compulsory outdoor therapy like that somebody would be sent to, or that would be like an inpatient hospitalization. I have plenty of opinions on that. Kids are comfortable in this setting. We always do a test session to make sure that they're genuinely comfortable, and this is going to serve them best.
Great. So it's an atmosphere for you to walk and talk.
Exactly. Yeah. Or I had a client last week where it was throw chestnuts at trees, or pet a horse, or go for a hike and find the biggest rock we can find, which the biggest one we found is about the size of a Volkswagen.
Okay. Is the farm... Tell me more about it. It's operational. What types of animals are there?
Sure. Yeah, our biggest product is eggs. We work with a local bakery. I've also sold pears, blueberries, all sorts of different herbs, tomatoes. I mean, kind of you name it on I can grow this. Let's see if we can find a buyer for it. With that, we've got, of course, the chickens, ducks, geese, rabbits, horses, dogs, cats, and I feel like I'm missing somebody, the goats. And we're talking like snuggle with you animals. You can hand feed everybody. Everybody's got a name. It is a great spot.
I love that. I grew up on a dairy farm in Pennsylvania. We talked a little bit about farming backgrounds in the past, but we used to lay on a cow at the end stall, especially during the winter because they were warm. But if we were kind of burnt out from playing and exhausted, I would go into the barn, the last stall, and lay on one of the cows there and just like feel it breathe. I would lay back on it, feel it breathe. It was almost therapeutic.
Absolutely.
So that's sort of my own mini connection with utilizing these things that you can do or see or sense to be in a good space to work on your behavior or your wellness.
Absolutely. We talk a lot when we're there about what different animals are giving feedback for us on. Like the horses, they really like a calm energy and sort of a middle voice, but you can yell for them and they'll come over. Or the rabbits, you can never yell for them. They always want a very calm energy. So let's feel where we're at and match that to who we're going to spend time with.
Interesting. That could potentially teach you how to work with people too.
Absolutely.
W-
Sort of read the room, figure out
Yes.
where am I at, what am I up for, rather than I need to see the rabbits today. Well, is that where you're at today? Let's actually take a moment to check in with ourselves and then make
Yeah.
the choice that is actually going to fit our skills, our abilities, and where we're at today. That doesn't mean we can't see them tomorrow. Where are we at right now? Doesn't make us better, worse, or otherwise. It's just knowing ourselves in this moment and being truthful about it.
That's fantastic. I think that sometimes in my life, I'm a very positive, outgoing type of person. And sometimes to an introvert or somebody that's more reserved, I'm overbearing. I tell my wife, I'm just so outgoing and positive. She said, or overbearing, either one. They're synonymous, based on,
Cool point.
yeah, based on who you are interacting with or doing business with.
I love that point because it's something I talk about a lot when people come and say, well, I've got this trait and I hate it about myself, but I've got this one I love it about myself. And often when we look at that, it's the trait that you love, volume up too high or volume down too low, turns into those things that you don't love about yourself.
Mhm.
So if we can take the judgment out of, gosh, I do this really annoying thing, I'm overbearing. Or I can turn the volume down on that judgment and go, I'm really outgoing. And sometimes that's not everybody's cup of tea, and that's okay. Sometimes I will come across as overbearing, and I can accept that knowing that I love this part of myself. And sometimes I can choose to turn the volume down a little if I recognize in the situation that will serve me well and I'm still being authentically me. Taking that judgment out of this thing that I am or this thing that I do and making choices based on what's going to be values aligned allows us to have a more peaceful and more authentic life.
That's a phenomenal point. I find trouble, though, sometimes recognizing how the other person feels based on my personality. That's the element I like about what you're doing with the different animals or the different activities or whatever you may find, where I would know, hey, I'm outgoing, but I'm going to get these rabbits to like my outgoing, not necessarily say, hey, fall back on these traits of yourself and not be so overbearing to the rabbits.
Yeah. So, one of the things we talk about a lot is consent, whether that is in an emotional regulation program or if somebody's coming to me for inappropriate sexual behavior or what have you. How does that relate to how I'm interacting with others? Because I can be me, and that stops at the beginning of your nose. I can
Yeah.
I can bring myself forward, and it needs to pause at a certain point to make sure that we're being respectful of others while also not losing ourselves along the way. Often I'll use our livestock guardian dog, Dolores, for that because
Okay.
she is a very big dog. She's just over 100 pounds. She has very clear expressions and she has very good boundaries. If she doesn't know you yet, she's going to show it very, very clearly, not in a way that's scary, but in a very big movement away, a very big change in facial expression. And so I can go, okay, did you see that movement there? That was discomfort. Did you see that one? That's nervousness. And we can start to analyze and attach the behaviors to different feelings that we're seeing in the dog. And pretty soon I'll have kids that at first were like, no, the dog loves me. I'm like, the dog is telling you no, friend. That will come up and go, oh, Dolores, you feel nervous today. I'll
Right.
give you more time or I'll give you some space. And hearing kids say that, or my teenagers especially, I'm like, hallelujah. You just learned something that's going to serve you to keep you safe. It's going to keep your future partners safe and healthy. It's going to serve you so well because you spent some time with a dog.
What a breakthrough. Part of the package of how you work with individuals.
Yes.
It's fantastic. Fantastic is the word of the day today. You work with children all the way up to senior citizens?
Absolutely. The oldest
Okay.
person I've worked with was in their 90s after a traumatic brain injury.
Okay. Some of the things that you work through are pretty heavy topics. Sexual behavior,
Yes,
death maybe in the family.
absolutely.
Tell me about some of the nitty-gritty, hard topics you work through.
Sure. So, of course, HIPAA, I'm not going to talk about really specific cases. And I can tell you that on the behavioral side of things, of course, we have talk therapy. People are very used to talk therapy. Sit down on a couch,
Yep.
talk about your feelings. On the behavioral side, it's looking at how did this situation change your behavior? Do we want to keep that change? Is it still serving you? Or do we want to make a change in that because we've gotten to a new place? We no longer need that skill. So let's think about like a grief situation. I've had cases where kids have lost parents. I've had cases where adults have lost their partner. And when you're going through that moment, there's a lot of skills that you build very quickly that are very useful in that moment. They are going to allow you to survive just the moment, just the day, just the week, so that you can heal. And then eventually, they will stop you from being able to grow further. We see this a lot with trauma as well, where people go, okay, I had to keep myself safe. And so I learned these behaviors to keep myself safe. And now that I'm out of that situation, these behaviors are not only not helping me, but they're hurting me. They're making me not be able to make the connections that I want to make. They're making me react really big to situations that are actually safe and small, but they feel similar to situations I was in before. And when we start to look at how do I make the changes in these behaviors, knowing that they were at one time perhaps even life-saving, how do we move forward from there? And that's some of the more tricky stuff that I help people navigate.
Kellie, you seem to really love this field.
I do.
I went on your website, and your list of education and certifications is robust by all means. How did you begin doing this line of work? Did you
Sure.
have hardships yourself and it pulled you into it, or you just had an interest?
Yeah. So I originally, as a teenager, was like, I'm going to be a veterinarian.
Uh-huh.
And clearly I love animals.
Yeah.
I do a lot of my own veterinary work now, which I think sidebar is a beautiful thing to consider too. Do I have to be this thing to live this way? No, I can not be a veterinarian and still love animals and still engage in a lot of my own veterinary work. And we see that in a lot of life where kids go, I have to be this thing in order to. Oh, if we can diffuse from that, we realize we can still get that fulfilled while also not labeling ourselves or putting ourselves in a box.
Yeah.
So as I was going through school, I had this wonderful physics teacher who was really having a tricky time teaching something because he was struggling with his English. He was still learning how to communicate in English. And I had the hardest time learning. And I just went, you know what? If I can't make it through a physics class, maybe I need to explore something else.
Yeah.
And it was funny. It was little things like that where it's like, oh, I run into a wall. Let me turn left. Let me turn right. And it slowly brought me to this place where I am now. Certainly, there have been tricky times in my life that have led me to go, oh, if I had these skills then, man, that would have been really nice and really helpful. Or little reflections where I go, oh, working with this person, I'm recognizing where I could have used this support. Let me go find my own support in this moment so I'm not putting that on them as well, which is something when you're in a helping field you need to keep an eye on.
Yeah. Where did you grow up?
I grew up on the West Coast.
Okay.
Yeah, I went to university in Texas, moved to Colorado for a a little bit, and then
Yeah.
made it out to the East Coast for a job.
Fantastic.
Yeah, a little bit everywhere.
And there I go again with the word fantastic. Seriously, that is impressive. It's so refreshing. It's so fun to talk to somebody that is so involved in their work and so passionate about it. And you bring in things that you either learned in school or that you grew up with. And that's really important. That's my stamp. I've been giving people stamp of approval. Grant
Well, I'll take it.
Paxton here. A spoiler, it holds no validity, but
Someday.
Yeah.
Someday.
Now let's talk about kids for a little
Mhm.
bit. I have two kids. They're 3 and 6.
Mhm.
And if something doesn't go the way that was planned or the way they thought was planned,
Sure.
hell freezes over. Give the listeners and me some insight on child behavior, tools you use maybe, or something that you do to work with kids. Because I'm not going to say kids like that because most
Just
kids
kids.
just don't have the brain capacity yet for it. And I'm probably not saying that right. Divulge.
That's a great way to think about it. Oh, this is a human that hasn't humaned very much. So the thing I like as far as an example is the 2-year-old that wants their shoes on just right, which we can never do or the sandwich cut just right, but it will never be right because we want both
Yeah.
at the same time. Might be the hardest thing they've ever experienced in their tiny life is it was the wrong shoes or it was the sandwich cut wrong. And what a beautiful thing that in their life, that is the biggest trauma that they've had. So
Yeah.
it gives me that little bit of empathy of like, wow, this is bothering you that much? You haven't seen that much bad. I've done a pretty good job. It gives me a moment to like step back and go, okay, yeah, we're going to be all right. From
Yeah.
there, I talk a lot about, in behavior analysis, we talk about setting events. So are we hungry? Too hot? Are we angry? Are we lonely? Are we tired? Are we thirsty? All those different things that can affect what's going on. Often I'll be looking for, do we have an earache? Do we have or ear infection? Do we have a UTI? Are we constipated? Those are going to be big ones
Yeah.
that'll really take the fuse down. And often kids can't explain. They just don't feel great. They don't know why.
Yeah, that is true. My 3-year-old, he could have to go to the bathroom
Mhm.
and it can ruin the whole day.
Yes.
And we don't always know that. We don't always look. We see this child is not listening to me, and it's so frustrating as parents sometimes. But we do have to realize, of course, we're the example, and we're
Mm.
trying. How you said it, I liked. They haven't humaned very much yet.
Yeah, not much at all.
And I stop myself occasionally and say, I'm expecting a lot. I have a 3 and a 6-year-old. I do have to realize they've only been on this earth for 3 years. Even my dog, I think he's only lived for this long, and he's a dog. I can't expect him to respond to me in the way I think because of my experience or my life. I'm going down. I get lost in the weeds all the time,
All good.
but it is a good point for parents out there to know that it could be an earache. It could be something physically that's festering in them. What was the acronym? You said it this morning too
Yes.
at our networking group. What was that acronym you said again?
It's HALT.
HALT.
HALT. Now I add a couple extras to it. Usually it's just hungry, angry, lonely, tired. For the H, I also add hormones and too hot. Hello,
Okay.
puberty brings all sorts of changes in behavior.
Yes.
And for the T, not just tired, I add in thirsty. And then the A is angry and the L is lonely.
Yeah. What other advice do you maybe have for parents when, let's go back to our mini conversation about a kid melting down, hell freezing over scenario. The child comes up and says, Dad, I want you to put my shoes on. Mom grabs the shoes and goes and puts them on. No, I want Dad to put my shoes on. The end result's just getting the shoes on so we can
Sure.
get out the door. Is it better for Dad to stop what he's doing, come and put the shoes on? Is it better for the kid to scream because Mom's putting them on, but he wants Dad to put them on?
There's so much in that question that I love it.
Okay.
So there's a couple things to consider. First, the values of the family. Because there's going to be some families that go, hey, you advocated, and I want to reinforce that advocating. Let's switch places. Dad, come on over. There's families where it is, hey, what is available is what we get. So we're going to say, I understand that you want Dad. Right now, Mom is available. Do you want left foot or right foot first? Still giving them some control. And there's families that really want to work on that emotional side. Oh my gosh, you want Dad to put on your shoes right now. That is really what you were hoping to happen, and I'm the only one available. What can we do about this? There's a bunch of different ways, none better or worse than the other, but looking at, again, how do the values of your family align with the behavior that you choose? Now, for most people, put on your blank shoes already, stop crying, can come up because feelings,
Yeah.
but is not the values aligned choice. So thinking ahead on those of like, okay, what actually matters to us as the adults? What do we want to instill moving forward? And then deciding in those situations, what's going to be the most aligned. And often will come down to that piece of like, okay, take a breath, take a break. What matters to me that the shoes are on? Am I up for child may choose to scream and kick? Or am I going to lose my absolute beans over it and everything's going to fall out? Or is it a place of fold early, keep my patience for a later time? Like, okay, you said that. Thank you for telling me. Let's see if we can switch. I always tell parents, if you're going, I don't have capacity, fold early. Fold early. Because what we're going to do, for those watching on the screen, you're going to see me moving my hand here. Let's say I want Dad to put my shoes on. And I scream, and finally, we can't take it anymore. We just need to get the shoes on. I've been screaming and kicking. And so finally, Dad comes over, put the shoes on, we get out the door. Great. We've just reinforced that screaming and kicking works and asking doesn't. Then the next time we make it, we've got a little more capacity. We make it to screaming and kicking, and then we get to running away. oh, great, now I need to scream, kick, and run away, and I get what I need. So if you're looking at today, I just don't have capacity for this, fold early. Reinforce the advocating rather than going, I'm going to lose my stuff and engage in a behavior I don't want to engage in, or reinforce a higher level behavior that will then be their go-to next time. And then when you go, why on earth are they acting so insane out of nowhere? They built it slowly, but they learned that's the most effective.
Right. A big thank you to today's sponsor, Mike Ponsel with Remax Legacy in downtown Wake Forest. If you're thinking about buying or selling, Mike is here for all your real estate needs in the greater Wake Forest area. I know firsthand. He helped me purchase my own home, and I couldn't have asked for a better experience. Mike's approachable, knowledgeable, and truly cares about helping you find the right fit. So when it's time to make your move, call Mike at 919-819-4039 or visit him online at wakeforestlegacy.com. That's Mike Ponsel with Remax Legacy, helping you feel right at home. It's very difficult to choose the right battle sometimes. My wife and I go back and forth with, well, choose your battles. If my child is told to hold still at school all day and he comes home and I'm like, get your knees and feet off the couch, hold still. Maybe that's not the right battle. Is it going to hurt anything for him to jump on the couch for 5 minutes? Probably not. I guess it is a very layered thing based on personalities and whatnot. I did find it's taken me several years, and it's going to take me several more as a parent to hold my tongue, to hold my patience, to show.
Wait, why am I talking?
Yeah. To just be quiet, to just let things kind of unfold, let them work through a problem. Us being calm, us being still, us being reliable. Sometimes I'm so angry, I want to say every swear word I know.
Absolutely.
And it will make me feel good for 2 seconds, and then I'll realize not the solution.
Yeah.
The yelling, the trying to be stern, overpowering, in command, that's not really a thing. Maybe it works with some personalities and kids. It works for some teachers, in certain situations. But you really lean on how to change the situation, how to, hey, the parent could fold or the parent could not, but we're also looking at the kid and what route they'll take or how they'll behave. It's great.
Sure.
I'm turning this into a session, a learning experience for myself, but it is so interesting to me, though, and friends I know or people listening that, of course, just struggle daily with these things with their children.
I think that's a really good point you made, too, that piece of I could yell and scare you and make you do what I want. You're much smaller than me.
Yeah.
Of course that's going to work. And that's going to be what's called behavior altering. In that moment, it's going to change the behavior. What are the consequences of that? Sometimes it's compliance. Well, great. Now we have somebody who will grow up to be perhaps a people pleaser or somebody who will look at their future partners and go, the way I get what I want is I make you comply. That could happen. Things to consider. Or we've got the piece of, well, now you're a conditioned punisher. So now I'm going to hide things from you because I know you're going to scream at me. So we start to build these background behaviors, which is always why I go for the reinforcement side first.
Yeah.
You'll notice I didn't say give them everything they want. I am not on that boat. I'm on the how is this going to inform them as they grow up to follow the values that I want. And what I don't want is a perfectly compliant kid who does things because they're scared, doesn't listen until they are scared. I don't want somebody who goes, well, if the police don't see me, then it doesn't count. Is we start to get these funky little behaviors that don't inform things in the long run.
Yeah. Do we sometimes, maybe this is a rhetorical question, do we sometimes convince ourselves that things are right or things are okay? How do do you help people break through that sometimes?
Sure.
We get a train of thought, and in fact, I could probably lie to myself enough to think it's true.
Absolutely. That's where I get a lot of referrals because people have gone, I have taken, especially on the sexual behavior side, I have taken this line of logic that seemed logical at the time I engaged in something I didn't want to. When looking back, I go, oh, that was me? I did that.
Yeah.
The way I often talk to people about this is through relational frame theory. So how do different things relate to each other? So let's take a situation where I've gotten into a habit of yelling at my kids, and I really don't want to, but it's the only thing that works. Okay, so I'm yelling at my kids. That's attached to I'm a person who yells. That's attached to people who yell have no patience and they're rude. And that's attached to rude people do rude things. And that's attached to rude people that do rude things are unkind. So now I'm unkind. If I loop it back, because all those were attached forward, it loops back to me. And if I'm an unkind person, then I yell.
Yeah.
And if I start, even if I don't, frontal lobe think that I'm unkind, those maps get created in our minds. And it gives us, I'm going to use the word excuse. It gives us an excuse to engage in that behavior. Because if I'm already bad, forget it. If I'm already unkind, if I'm already rude, and this is the only thing I've got, of course I'm going to use this. Like, I don't have any other choice. I was forced into this. I didn't have a better resource. This is the only thing I could possibly do. And you can see very quickly where that turns into, I had no other option. I'm the victim here. And that's not a criticism, but something we all go through of I'm a victim of my own behavior because I made this connection through and I started to associate myself with these things that would make it make sense, quote unquote, logically. And it's really an incredible process of starting to break those pieces apart to stop judging ourselves for the choices we've made and start to go, okay, I recognize where those connections are from, and I want to make a different choice.
Yeah. It's really good to also have somebody you're willing to share these behavior or emotional depths with. It's like getting somebody to look at something from the outside, like somebody that comes in and helps me grow my business, or a business coach, for instance, can point out things that I'm walking past every day that could improve the way my business is working. But I just have blinders up to it. You're in somebody's car and you're like, it smells bad in here, but they ride in it every day. They don't smell it anymore.
Behavior analysis, the science that I use
yeah.
for my work, is really fun and
Okay.
absolutely fascinating.
When you have a client, they come to you with a specific problem maybe, or what is the intake process?
Sure. So whether it's someone who's coming as an adult or someone who is coming for their child, I do a 30-minute call just to be like, hey, is this the right fit? I don't take insurance. This is the sliding scale. Is that comfortable? Let's make sure that this is not a sales call, but a resources call. Get you as much information as we can.
Great.
From there, if it's a kid, then we'll do a 30-minute free. Let's make sure your kid is comfortable with me. You're comfortable. Let's make sure they're comfortable. If they come in and go, that lady's weird and I felt bad, then let's find you someone else.
Not a fit.
Yeah, that's okay. It's okay that I'm not perfect for everyone, and I really want your kid to feel comfortable moving forward. For adults, we would just go into a first session after that first one. I've got some background paperwork. I'll mix some assessment into the first couple of sessions. I use a lot of what's called the Hexaflex. It's out of acceptance and commitment therapy, looking at psychological flexibility. How do we improve that alignment again with our values while we're going through and going, okay, am I anger or am I feeling anger? Can I view what's going on with a half a step back? Can I make sure that I'm committing action toward those values that I have and then following through with that action instead of going, forget it, it's too hard, and going back to the old behaviors that I didn't want in the first place? Yeah. Often people come in with specific goals. We figure out everything connected to those goals, and then we move forward from there.
Okay. How do you advertise yourself? How do you find work? How does somebody find you?
Sure.
I'm going to ask you several questions into one.
Yeah,
Okay.
I get a lot of word of mouth referrals.
Okay.
I'm very blessed to have a number of happy clients, which is always wonderful and absolutely warms my heart. Psychology Today, I've got a page on. I will get people through there. My website, I've been on a lot of different media, from on the news to podcasts, radio shows. I've written in articles internationally, so sometimes people will come through there.
Great.
And then I just enjoy meeting people. So I like to be involved in the community. I recently did an event with the Wake Forest Chamber, the Wake Forest Area Chamber.
Great.
And being able to just get out into the community, whether it's networking or helping out or volunteering, has been a wonderful way for me to connect.
Excellent. That's the Wake Forest Chamber, you said?
Yes.
Okay. Are Are you a member of the Franklin Chamber?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. It's on my list.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I live in Wake Forest,
Mhm.
and I've targeted that area. That makes me sound like a sleazy salesman, but
I see you've connected targeted with sleazy salesman.
yeah.
If you're a sleazy salesman, what does that mean about you?
There I go. Here we are, Grant Paxton, eating his own words as we speak.
Sorry, Grant. Didn't mean to throw it to you, but it was just too good.
You're so right, though. And then you have an experience with someone like that, and then you stay away from, you have one bad sales experience,
Mhm.
and then you try your best to avoid it or stay away from it.
Sure. And
I-
on the business side, you see people avoiding networking, avoiding marketing, especially when you get into the helping fields like I'm in, and because they connect all of it with sleaze. And that's why I do a little bit of business coaching on the side.
I believe it because it crosses into it. My life, for instance, my business, my life is all connected.
Mhm.
I almost want to say the same thing. Foxtrot Print is Grant Paxton, and Grant Paxton is Foxtrot Print or music or podcast or whatever else is in my life, you know?
Sure.
And maybe that's not a healthy balance. But back to your thoughts on a bad experience and not returning to a networking event or a business transaction. I get a lot of customers at our print shop that say, "Oh, I gave them these cards and I called them and they said, 'Oh, yeah, I'll get back to you.' But they never called me back." And they're so angry about it, but they're a very upfront person. And so people kind of give them lines but don't say no, and that doesn't let that person know to stop trying to get me. They don't read the room.
It's tricky because we're socialized that saying no is rejection, rejection is bad. Again, we can start to map out like if I tell this person, I'm actually not interested. Oh my gosh, it's going to be awkward. Awkward means I'm going to sweat. And if I'm sweating, then you can see all the different maps that start to build out what's better, what's worse, what's more tolerable, what's less tolerable,
Right.
future casting into these different things. So we give the passive answer. And then on the other side, if they never called me, they've rejected me, and rejection means I'm bad and I'm unworthy and blah, blah, blah. You start to see how these
Yes.
things build into, and again, taking a step back and going, I'm feeling a bit of rejection dysphoria. It's way bigger than it actually is. Let me view that instead of make it me. Don't let it attach to me and be rejected and be unworthy, but go, I am feeling unworthy in this moment. What's my next best choice? Oftentimes it's what would you do if this wasn't happening? There's a beautiful story that someone told me, gosh, years ago about a woman who had her pastor show up at her door on a day that she didn't expect. And it was in the middle of a war. And she said, "Are you here because my husband is dead?" And he said, "Yes." She goes, "Let me make you tea." And he goes, I'm sorry, what?" She goes, "Well, if this wasn't happening, I'd be making you tea. So my next best step in this moment is just to make you tea."
What a great story.
Yeah. And it reminds me of that piece of, okay, is it a crisis? I need to react right now. There's literally a train about to hit me. Or is it something where I can take just a moment, wait just a second, find the beauty in the pause, and then decide what my next best choice is?
Definitely. As we wrap up our session, again, I really appreciate your time, your passion and determination for all that you do. Would you agree that mental health has more of an awareness than ever?
Yes. And I see both the positives and negatives in it. The positives of we are aware of it. Because I come from the behavioral background, I don't do any diagnostics. I don't put labels on anyone. I just help you work toward your goals, given the tools that you have currently and the ones you want to develop. And what I see is where people go, "Oh, this diagnostic or this label is really helping me." Wonderful. And I see where people go, "I am this." Just like we were saying earlier, I am shame. I am unworthy.
Yeah.
I am X diagnosis.
Mhm.
And in that, they are feeling the limitations of like, well, if I'm going to be this, then I cannot that, even though I wish I could. And I start to see like, wow, how can I help folks who find solace in labels, that find help in labels, recognize where they go, oh, just like me wanting to be I want to be a veterinarian. I'm not, but I still am able to get those parts of my life fulfilled. Or I am, and I still have other things that are outside of that. Going through and creating that psychological flexibility while we're in a more aware place where we are seeing more labels and we are seeing more attention, I think will allow us to be more healthy. Like, this is the first swing of the pendulum, and I'm excited to see things move and start to center a little bit, because we were way too far on the other side of nope, put some dirt in it and just keep moving.
Right.
So it's interesting to watch from the inside.
Yeah. Fantastic. That'll be the last time I say it here on this episode. I'm like a Sesame Street episode.
I'll take
The
it.
word of the day, the letter of the day. Tell listeners, Kellie, once more, and maybe spell out your website, how they can connect with you.
Absolutely. So you can look me up online, KelliSyfan, Kellie Syfan. You can also go to chbehavior.com. You're going to see a bunch of yellow buttons on there. Book a call with me, 30 minutes, no cost, no obligation. Let me just get you the resources that I can. And if I'm a good fit, then we can talk about that too. You can also find me on podcasts like this and media, as I said, all over the world.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm here to try to help. Whether that I end up being the one that you need, or I can connect you with somebody who is, send me an email, kelly@chbehavior.com. Go to my website, give me a call, 919-579-6192. Send me a text, however you would like to connect so that we can get you connected with what's going to help you most. I'm here.
Great. And that's a wrap with Kellie Syfan, Clove Hitch Behavior. Grant Paxton here with Workspace Podcast, signing out.
A business hub where you can go. It's a workspace provision code. A business hub where you can go. It's a workspace provision code.
Workspace Podcast is recorded at Workspace Provision Co. in Youngsville, North Carolina. If you would like to get involved or sponsor our next episode, email us, workspacepodcastnc@gmail.com.